Ohio State, a winner, 56-0. We are not in the media room. We are behind it. We're going in a secret hallway.
BTS,
Will Howard is right here. It is BTS. That's what the notebook is for. And last week, CJ Barnett boxed us out. We're not letting that happen again. So we're going down the stairs. Will Howard, start number 2, win number 2 for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I watched you, Will. You were doing another post-game interview. You missed Carmen, Ohio.
I know, dude. Last week, I was sitting at midfield, and I did it with Mike, our social guy. And I was pissed I didn't get to be down there, but this time I was actively doing an interview. So I actually couldn't even sing it. I just literally caught like the last H and O. Like that was it.
Because you said last week, and that's what I wanted to ask you, that like you're only going to get so many opportunities to do these cool traditions.
Exactly.
And you're missing out on it.
I love doing post-game interviews and whatnot. It's great. It's an honor. But I don't like missing out on it.
Okay. All right. Well, what's been the best tradition you've got to experience so far?
I think the skull session.
Skull session. All right.
It's pretty awesome.
This is the sanctuary. We can't go any further. We can't go any further than that. Congrats on the win.
See you.
Thanks, Will. All right. We accomplished it. The notebook, week 2, is rolling along. We are in the back channels here, 56-0 for the Buckeyes. Will Howard starts 10 for 10. So Ryan Day challenged the Buckeyes. Hey, start fast. You saw Ryan Day get into that pre-game mosh pit with the Buckeyes. He was ready to go. So were the Buckeyes. Will Howard goes out, starts 10 for 10. Ohio State, they scored 56 unanswered points. So we'll take this and we will head out of the media room now, and we'll get into more on the notebook as we roll along. So hard not to focus on what Will Howard did here. A little shaky in the opener. We talked about that with the Buckeyes trying to find some footing. And even Will Howard, after the game, in his original post-game press conference, was talking about this offense leaving meat on the bone. It's hard to see how much better they could have been, with one notable exception, the missed throw to Jeremiah Smith. Will Howard came directly over to the bench after that drive. I don't know what he said. It looked like an apology, but he was talking about that it's going to hurt him for a little while that he missed on that throw. It was an opportunity for Ohio State to finish off another drive, maybe get him out of the game a little bit earlier than he wound up. Late in the third quarter, Devin Brown came in, Julian Sain came in, Lincoln Kienholz came in. This was an opportunity where Ohio State got aggressive and put a game away. Look at this. Look at this superstar right here. Look at this.
Nah, don't give me out of camera.
What do you think of these wide receivers, Cam Babb?
They're better than me. They're better than I was.
That's
That's not for me to say, you know what I mean?
We'll see. Well, you're the best looking wide receiver they've had
I
here.
appreciate
so,
it, man. I appreciate it. It's good to see you.
Good to see. All right, so let's check here on the food. Looks like some pizza. This is the most important thing of every post game. Smoothie King and pepperoni pizzas again. There's the bodyguard right there. We outboxed CJ Barnett this week. We won.
Y'all stuck up there.
We got you this time. You got me boxed out last week. I can't let that keep happening. All right, so that feels good. That's a win for the program. All right, let's get into it. Let's actually open the notebook for the first time it's a late game. Everybody's trying to get out of here. I understand it, but we had to make up for last week. We had to atone. First and foremost, you start with the injuries. We talked about it throughout the week. Cody Simon and Donovan Jackson both had clearance to play. Cody Simon, I think it was a little bit of a hamstring thing. Don't know for sure, soft tissue. He wanted to play last week, was pushing really hard to. The strengths, the medical staff, thanks Berm, it is late, said let's hold off for one more week. But you could tell when he came out for pregame, there was not going to be any way to keep him off the field for this week. There was a look in his eye like he had to go out and prove something right off the bat, which he did on the opening drive. Third down, Buckeyes dial up a blitz for him. Cody Simon gets home. He gets the sack right away. The way he celebrated, the way that the rest of the Silver Bullets celebrated was pretty notable and remarkable. It's good to see him out there, and he wanted to talk to the Blocko after the game there. And I said, well, that had to be pent up energy, aggression, said, well, everybody else did their assignment. It allowed me to get home for free. It was really nothing too special that I did. Of course, that's what you expect your captain to say. Then on the next drive, on a key third down, Western Michigan, really one of the only times all night that they got anything going, he drops and has to flash across the field in coverage, breaks up a pass on third down. So he gets the sack for one stop, breaks up a pass to get another third down stop. Western Michigan misses the field goal. They really don't threaten again for the rest of the night. And both Cody Simon and Jack Sawyer, they're talking about they've been waiting 4 years to get a shutout like this. They knew exactly how long it had been. Jack Sawyer knew that it was Cincinnati. 2019, the fact that 5 years to the day, remarkable. Berm behind the camera there, dropping the extra knowledge. Once that field goal was missed, you could just tell, like, all right, this isn't going to happen again. Jack Sawyer kind of exaggerated a little bit. He said there's been about 100 times that they could have done this. That's not entirely true, although there were a lot of opportunities where it was just a field goal or two that the Buckeyes gave up. But once they got past that one, with that early stop, there was really no looking back. Ohio State was about as dominant as you could ever want on defense. But Cody Simon there with those first two drives, had to give him certainly the defensive player of the quarter. Maybe I can do offense and defense for the first half, because the second half notes, they're pretty sparse because this game was over pretty quickly. No player of the game honor for the officiating. I'm going to have to get a better explanation. That did not, for Denzel Burke's ejection, that did not look like a defenseless player to me. I thought maybe he was leading with the shoulder, and even if he made contact with the helmet, did not seem like something that should end somebody's night. If I'm wrong about that, so be it. I'd like to get a better explanation about what exactly they saw on that. So Denzel Burke wound up with a short night, and it put another, starter on the sideline for Ohio State to build depth. Jermaine Matthews got a fair amount of playing time there, but Western Michigan was not putting much strain on the secondary for Ohio State. They finished with 99 total yards. So I don't know which is more impressive, the shutout or the fact that Emeka Egbuka almost matched Western Michigan's entire offensive production by himself in the first half. Jeremiah Smith, that guy's special. I think I wasn't going to give him the first quarter player honor there because Will Howard started 10 for 10 for 177 yards, as we said at the start of the notebook. But he caught just like a simple stop route. He's standing as still as I am right now, and then goes from 0 to 23 miles an hour, 24 miles an hour, I don't know, in about half of a second. Look at Mike Bassard.
First shutout since 2019.
2019.
I know you knew that.
Berm said 5 years to the day, so he's trying to top you a little bit.
It was just, actually just about, seriously.
Yeah.
Not just about. No, you're right. It actually is exactly 5 years to the day. So once again, Berm's right.
Great SID night.
Good job by him.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of yards, a lot of stats to compute right now.
What's going to be the first step beyond that? Because we took the shutout from you.
Improvement week is upon us.
Improvement week is upon us. I'm going to have to do that too before the Buckeyes get back here in 2 weeks, which we think that's going to be a noon game against Marshall. Anyway, Jeremiah Smith scores again. He goes over 100 yards receiving. He is going to break every freshman receiving record that exists for Ohio State. There's no question about that. How about an unsung impact here? I thought Ty Hamilton made a couple plays that were pretty key. On that opening drive of the game, he knifed into the backfield for, I don't know if they technically gave him the tackle for loss. I'll have to double check the box score on that, but it was either right at the line of scrimmage or for a loss of 1 before Cody Simon's sack. And then he came up and he showed up again on the first drive of the second quarter. He and Tyleik Williams teamed up for the TNT tackle for loss. A couple big plays for him. So you look at the depth for Ohio State and the amount of people that they have on defense. Ty Hamilton, amount of people that can make a difference on defense. Ty Hamilton is not someone who comes up a lot. This is a really important cog for Ohio State. They played Caden McDonald a greater amount tonight. You saw Tywan Malone get involved. Hero Kanu was in early. So he's certainly not alone. And that's the remarkable part about Ohio State is they're able to play all that depth without much drop off on the defensive line or any drop off. That's what they've been trying to rebuild at for quite some time. They're getting there now. So impressive stuff from the rushman up front and for Ty Hamilton, just somebody that we don't talk about a lot. So let's go back. The other thing I have a lot in here from that second quarter, It was the first time that the Buckeyes didn't score. They took the deep shot, they dialed it up. Jeremiah Smith is wide open. He was like right here, berm. Couldn't have had a better play call. The throw gets hung up just a little bit. Maybe Jeremiah Smith is too fast. Will Howard's still adjusting to that. I don't know. But he missed that. A little bit underthrown. Jeremiah Smith had to come back and get it. Incomplete. Drive killer, drive stalls. First time the Buckeyes don't score. And they've taken these down. The benches over here have like new, I don't know, huts over the top. They look like cabanas.
Counter stallions.
They're counter stallions, as Berm said. You need to be mic'd up during the show. You are too good right now. They come over right here. They're looking at the iPad. The receivers are sitting down on this bench right here. And Will Howard puts on the headset. He's talking to Chip Kelly, and you could just tell he was steaming. I think, the Buckeyes themselves are like, it's fine. You're going to come back. The rest of the quarterbacks came over, and Devin Brown's patting him on the back. Lincoln Keenholz is saying, you got it. And they bounced back. They took a play-action shot right away with Emeka Ibuka on the next drive, and the Buckeyes pick right back up where they were leaving off before. They wind up leading 35-0 at halftime, and Howard capped that off with a rushing touchdown. Goes into the right end zone. He throws up the OH, and you can tell as we talk to him coming down those stairs that he is enjoying the moment, the opportunity. There's only been 2 of them so far. 10 more guaranteed. This team's trying to play 16 games, 17 if it comes to that. So there's still a long way to go. He talked about the throw. There's going to be opportunities where the Buckeyes can play better, but the way that he has grown even from week 1 to week 2, you take note of that. It's significant. I think the Buckeyes are getting exactly what they want from Will Howard, from the quarterback position, which, as I mentioned, included Julian Sayin coming in the fourth quarter. Somebody came up and tapped me on the shoulder in the tunnel, and they said, did you have a Bennett Christian touchdown on your bingo card? And I'd have to say, no, I did not. And I definitely didn't have it coming from Julian Sayin. I didn't think that the Buckeyes, or Ryan Day specifically, would want to go into this off date where we're going to be looking for other things to talk about and what it means going forward, that Ryan Day would want to talk about a third string quarterback, or what reps for Devin Brown, or what things are going to look like for the backup quarterbacks. But he went beyond that. In fact, he put in a 5th quarterback because Mason Maggs came in as a running back on the final drive as the Buckeyes were running out the clock. So that's one of a handful of things that to me stood out as a different approach for Ryan Day, where Will Howard's last drive, they go for a 4th and 8. This is 2 weeks in a row that they've gone for a 4th down that maybe in the last couple of years Ohio State would not have done. He was asked about sportsmanship and running up the score and those things, and I think he's taken some criticism. I've understood it. I've not been a proponent of you have to throw like CJ Stroud when you're the backup quarterback. You need to get those reps. I understand that there are other people that have different perspectives on that, but I've sort of understood that Ohio State doesn't need to force the issue or post a margin of victory to win by 56. But what that drive did and that decision, it showed that Ryan Day is backing up the kind of aggression and fight and leave no doubt mentality that he's preaching. So he's done that with the coaching. And the fact that Ohio State converted on that 4th and 8, which I believe, there was a throw to Brandon Ennis, followed up by a Travion Henderson touchdown. Well, that made it 42-0 with about 4.5 minutes to go in the third quarter, and it let Ryan Day then take the starters out. Why have they wound up playing more snaps in some of these games the last couple of years than maybe people want? Well, it's because they would get to that situation. Maybe they'd kick a field goal, or maybe they would punt in that situation. Instead, they went for the touchdown. They did knock out the opponent, and that let them take the starters out. They would score once again there in the fourth quarter with some of the backups in. Nope, was that in the third quarter? Twice more. And James Peoples, again, that guy is pretty fun to watch. I think he's going to be a fixture down the road. Running game as a whole, pretty exciting to watch with Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, James Peoples all getting in there. Will Howard kept one to get into that right corner of the end zone over there. It all adds up to 56-0. It's hard to find a lot to stress about for Ohio State. They corrected a lot of the things that we talked about. They could from week 1 to week 2. Wasn't a guarantee that they would do that, but they did. Now they have an off week to get a little bit healthier. Donovan Jackson is expected to play when they get back to Marshall. Cody Simon already did. Denzel Burke will be back out there because that was a first half ejection. So really, as far as we know, knock on the notebook, Buckeyes are going to be healthy. They've built the momentum that they were looking to from these first couple games and the way they've broken up the preseason schedule. Now they can take a deep breath and they can continue to add on, because the things that they did on offense were different from week 1 to week 2. You're adding to the arsenal. The way that they had played on defense was lights out. You cannot ask for more than a shutout and 100 yards given up to a MAC opponent that, again, worth a reminder, Western Michigan pushed Wisconsin at Camp Randall to the brink. That didn't even come close to happening on Saturday night in the Horseshoe. This game was over in a hurry, and that checks a lot of boxes for the Buckeyes, who are now 2-0. So that's going to wrap that up for the notebook, week 2. We're going to start adding a few other things to different parts of the Horseshoe. If this feels like you've seen an episode like this before, we understand. I'm going to try and do some stuff up in the press box as we go along. Maybe we'll incorporate the notebook goes to pregame things like Skull Session that Will Howard mentioned, or other things. Like just Berm and I do some pregame stuff walking around the stadium. Maybe we'll incorporate that in here as the season goes along. I don't want you to get bored by what we're doing on the notebook, because I really enjoy it, and I've heard from a fair amount of you that enjoy it too. So we're going to keep doing that and keep trying to find new ways to present this coverage. And I don't know, that's about all I have to say from a game that's 56-0. Ohio State's going to go into that off week. We're going to still have full coverage on the podcast daily every day. Roosters will be on Tuesday this week. Kings of Columbus, Kings of the North, Buckeye Q, Bourne Blitz, that's all coming. We're going to get through these next couple weeks and talk about what we saw in the first 2 games for Ohio State as much as we possibly can. Thanks for joining us on a night banger, as Ohio State moved to 2-0 with a 56-0 win over Western Michigan. This has been The Notebook. I'm Austin Ward. We'll talk to you later.